In this video, we're going to walk through the latest attendance update that we have all been waiting on, which is the additional subsequent period entry that will assist with check-ins and check-outs. Let me start out by saying first, this video should be used for training purposes only, that no real students or data are being portrayed in this video, as we use a sandbox server full of fake students and fake information, and any likeness to any real person is purely coincidental. So we know that one of the pain points that have been in clocking students in and out of PowerSchool is that when you go to change a record, so I'm going to have this student right here, and we can see that today this student was marked absent. So at the beginning of the day, the teacher marked the student absent. It filled the rest of the periods for us. Well, let's say that at about 8:20, this student walks in. So we're going to perform a clock in. So we're going to click on our clock right here, and we're going to clock in at 8:20 a.m. And it says this student's missed 18% of this period, so they're going to be tardy. And we know that. They're tardy to school, they're tardy to that class, we're going to write that. And then we want to fill the subsequent periods. Well, if I say, okay, I need this one period to be tardy, and maybe it's an excused tardy. If I want to fill subsequent periods, in the core model, it takes this functionality right here and fills it. Well, that's not what we want, because a student is coming in first period, so they're tardy first period, they're going to be present the rest of the day. So what we used to have to do was to go in, select this as save, and then go into each of those periods and update them to present. Well, here is our latest update. Now, if you choose fill subsequent periods, there's actually going to be another code that you can use for the subsequent periods. So you get to choose what goes in those. So now I'm going to say, okay, this student was tardy for first period, but the student is now going to be present for the rest of the day. So I'm going to mark this as present. I can put any comments that I want to in here, and I can save that record. And sure enough, it takes all of those unexcused absences and puts the tardy here, the unexcused here, and when we hit submit, it's going to run our daily attendance calculation and say, yep, that student was previously unexcused absence from what that teacher had put in, and now that new daily code is just a tardy unexcused because they only missed 20 minutes of the overall day, which does not hit that 49% threshold, and we submit. So we are taking off some of the steps that you had to do with those check-ins and check-outs, where you can now select an additional subsequent code when you choose to fill these subsequent periods inside of PowerSchool. Now, this works for both check-ins and check-outs. So let's take another situation that you see quite often inside of here. Let's say that it was Monday and this student came to first period and decided they were checking out because they needed to go to a doctor's appointment. So I'm going to go up here and process the checkout. So let's say first period ends at 9:46. So let's say they're checking out at 9:30. So clock out 9, we'll just leave it 9:39 a.m. So they've been there the majority of first period, so they do need that present code, but they weren't there the whole time, so they're not getting the present code. They're going to get the tardy code. Notice it says a present code. Tardy is a present code. So that is tardy excused because they just missed a little bit of that time. And then they're going to be out the rest of the periods. So I'm going to fill the subsequent periods now, and maybe they brought that doctor's excuse saying that they had an appointment or something, so I'm going to go ahead and code that doctor's excuse. So I'm telling the program I want first period to be a tardy because they are missing the last 7 minutes of the period, and I want the rest of the periods to be doctor excuse. I'm going to hit save. So there we go, tardy excused, out the rest of the day for a doctor's appointment, submit. So it's going to take that present code that was there, and that new daily code is now going to be doctor's excuse. I'm going to submit. Okay, now, sometimes when these kids have doctor's appointments, what happens? They come back to us in just a couple of hours. So let's pretend that that's what happens. This student then comes back to us right at 11:30, so the beginning of our third block class. So we're now going to process a clock in from that clock out that we just did. So I'm going to go back up here and go to, I now want to clock this student in at, what time did I say I want to do this? Let's say 11:27, so 11:30. 11:30 a.m. So when I clock them in at 11:30, that's going to be at the very beginning of that period. So that means it's going to be just tardy for that class. So tardy, excused. And then I want to fill the subsequent period. So where we did have those as doctor's excuses, well, hey, they're going to be there now for fourth period. So I want that to go back to a present code because they're back in school. So now I can run this, hit save. So I have my tardy, where they were gone to the doctor, where they came back in, and now that present code in fourth period, hit submit. It's going to run through again and go, okay, well now they're going to take that previous doctor excuse and flip it back to a tardy because now that they've checked back in, they've only missed 111 minutes, which is only 24%, so it's just a tardy for the day, and it keeps everything in sync. So this new subsequent period addition is going to help on the number of clicks that you have to go through in order to get these records corrected when you do that check in and check out.